Let's take a look at the for loop. Now, there's different variations, different ideas behind how to implement the for loop. I'm going to show you a very simplistic example and just talk about it because my goal is not to make you an expert for loop, just to help you understand more about how it works. Okay, so I'm going to have a for I in 1 to 5. And then I'll put a beginning curly brace and it puts a closing curly brace, at least in RStudio. Um, Everything that's inside here will be ran when it does the for loop. Um, Now you got curly brace here, closing curly brace here, so you got multiple lines. We're going to find that when this for loop runs, it runs multiple times. That may not make as much sense if you've never seen a for loop before, but let's print out the value of I and run that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what it's doing is it's declared a variable called I, and it starts it at 1. And it'll go through, it'll print this, so it prints the value of I, which is currently 1, hits the last curly brace, comes back up here, and by default, the for loop will increase the initial 1 that's stored in I, it'll increase it by 1. So I is now 2. So it comes down here, prints at 2. Then it comes up here, increases it again. It'll keep increasing it until while it's between 1 and 5. Let's say I wanted to add the numbers from 1 to 5. So if I had sum is equal to 0 here, and I said sum is equal to sum plus I, and then down here, and I shouldn't do this. Let's see, print I, there we go. So I want to paste the code in so you can see it. So there's no use to keep destroying it. Sum for I in 1 to 5, and then sum is equal to sum plus I, and I'll print sum. What's that going to add up to? 9, 12, 14, 15, if I'm adding it correctly. See, that gives me 15. Now, just in general, the way this goes is comes here, it initializes sum to 0, sets up the memory space for it. Goes through this for loop. First time through, I is equal to 1. So it gets the old value of sum, which is 0, and adds the current value of I, which is 1. 0 plus 1 is 1, and then assigns it back to sum. So sum is now equal to 1. Then comes down here and goes to the next value of I, which is 2. Takes the old value of sum, which is 1, plus the current value of I, which is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, and assigns it back to sum, so sum is now 3. It keeps on going through and doing the same principle. Now, this is not the equals that you're used to in algebra. In programming, this is referred to as assignment. So you're taking whatever's on the right-hand side and calculating it, plugging in appropriate values for your variables, and then assigning it back to this variable right here. Now that gives you a general idea of how a for loop works.